Hi, today let's talk about creativity, the third most important skill set as listed by the World Economic Forum in their Future of Jobs report for you guys to succeed in your careers and profession and entrepreneurship going forward in an Industry 4.0 era. Now, we've already done two videos in the past on the top two skill sets, one on complex problem solving and the other one on critical thinking. And I'm certain many of you must have already watched it. And if you haven't, I request you to just look it up on the channel on the tube and watch it. But today, let's focus on creativity. What we will do is try and look beyond just the word and explore its deeper import from a Western construct and also from an Indian philosophical Indic construct if possible. We will try and look at certain myths associated with this word and bust them if possible. And find out why is it after all so important for you to have this skill set in the modern era, and also devote a little time in finding out how you can acquire this skill set, right? Now, most of the modern understanding of the word creativity comes from the works, a Nobel Prize winning work of an American neuropsychologist called Roger Sperry. Now, it was known to medical science for a long time that the brain had two parts, one the right lobe and the left lobe, and both were connected with a small part called the corpus callosum. And it was also known that generally the left side of our faculties, which is the organs of sense and organs of actions, were neurologically connected to the right lobe, and vice versa. The right side was connected to the left lobe, and then there was interocular transfer amongst the lobes, and that's how we were able to perform. We are able to perform in the world, right? Now, what Roger Sperry observed in epileptic patients was that the fits increased when the corpus callosum was damaged or serrated, right? They increased. So, and what the surgeons used to do is they used to cut off the corpus callosum, and suddenly the fits used to go down. Now, this was intriguing for Sperry because he thought that if it is such an important part of the brain, then how come when it is cut off, no apparent loss of faculty happens, right? At least an apparent loss of faculty should happen. That never happened. And that was intriguing for him. So anyway, to cut the long story short, he continued a lot of experiments on this, on cats and monkeys and even more epileptic patients, and then found out that that the left brain was able to articulate matters of language, forms, mathematics, formulas, etc. In a better manner. And the right brain, in fact, was able to explain any problem that was showcased to the patient in a more fluid manner in terms of sketches and drawings, etc. So what he inferred and then later concluded that the left brain was more rational and the right brain was more creative, and from therein comes out this modern colloquial understanding of creativity. He got a Nobel Prize, of course, for that going forward, I think in the late 70s or 80s, I don't remember when. But then this was a very Western biological construct of what is creativity. It dealt only with the effects, not with the causes. So I thought, why don't we look at it from an Indic or an Indian philosophical construct? Because the root of the word creativity is from creation, and the concept of creation is well embedded in our philosophy for millennia, actually, in the concept of Brahma and his consort Saraswati, and the fact that he created the entire universe out of nothing by just these five supernatural elements and all that, right? So we know that concept. So in the Indic philosophy, the body is made up of 5 layers. Now, I have done another video on this in another playlist, which is revealing your individuality by looking at your layers. Look it up if you have the time. But suffices for this video to say that there are 5 layers in your body, and 2 out of this are exclusively made up of thoughts. The outer called the manomaya kosha or the mental layer, and the inner called the vijnanamaya kosha or the intellectual layers, right? Now, these are both made up of thoughts. There's no material difference between these 2 layers, they say, but the only difference is that the outer layer is more fluid, more softer, more wavy, and the inner layer is more definite, more condensed, more closer to a decision. That's essentially the only difference. But at the confluence of these 2, they say there is another small layer of thoughts, which is very beautifully defined as your spiritual heart, different from your biological heart. In fact, it's defined beautifully in Kathopanishad, if some of you may have read that, in the dialogues between Yamraj and Nachiketa. So the thoughts that emanate from this layer, the spiritual heart, are considered to be absolutely creative. Now, how are they different from the other two? Because the other two layers are in the realms of something that is known. The intellect and mind is in the thoughts in that layer are in the realms of something that is already known. So any thought that comes out is either better or worse than in that domain, right? So it's not exactly original, they say. But what comes out from the spiritual layer is considered to be absolutely original. There are certain other properties of the thoughts and actions which come out from that layer. Not only are they original, they also make you immensely happy and take you deeper towards divine. And also, they don't dwell in the realms of relative, they are in the realms of absolute. So the thought is completely original, absolute, and gives you complete happiness, and therefore translated into action which is original, happy, and without any relative imperatives, right? So that's what the action which comes out from this spiritual heart level is, according to the Indic philosophy, and that's creativity. Now, for many who consider that they are creative, I think a small test is nice, right? So if you really think that if you want to find out whether your creativity is coming out from the superficial mental or intellectual layer, or whether it is coming out from even a deeper layer of the spiritual heart, then a small test will do. You can find out if your creative actions results in rebellion, bohemian behavior, or violence. It's beautifully described by Osho actually in one of his videos. Look it up. If it comes from there, if it results in that, then your thoughts and your actions are not, your creativity is coming from a superficial layer. But if your creativity is coming from a deeper divine layer, then it makes you more happy, more peaceful, more saint-like, right? Because it's known, many creative people are known to even get into substance abuse and destroy themselves, right? We know, banging the guitar, getting into substance abuse, those kind of creativity, examples of creativity and creative people we've seen. Then there's the other side, which is what we're talking about, a very deep, coming from the spiritual heart level of creativity. I'm reminded of a small interview that I saw of the great Birju Maharaj, the renowned Kathak dancer. I think it was on Doordarshan many years back. He said that when he was ready for a performance, he did nothing. He just dressed up and came on the stage, and he said, Krishna just danced through me. I think there's no better example of creativity which is taking you towards the divine than this statement. It was just sublime and beautiful, at least to my mind, right? Now, there are also many myths which are associated with this word creativity. What are those? One, it's not a prerogative. Creativity is not a prerogative of a particular function or a profession. Nobody can arrogate to themselves that this is I'm creative and this function is not. In fact, that's like saying I'm breathing and that guy is not breathing, right? So if you're not a dancer or a painter or an artist, does not mean you're not creative, right? You are creative. In fact, I find lawyers very creative. You all know that auditors can get phenomenally creative at the end of the financial year. Or take your tax consultant. I mean, they are amazingly creative, and I'm sure great souls like Ramanujan and even Shakuntala Devi were great creative mathematicians. So creativity is not a function of a profession. That may be performing arts, but creativity is everywhere and within everybody. It's just that the faculty is hidden. So that brings to another point. Can you actually? Is it a skill set? I really don't think it's a skill set. It's a quality. It's an inborn quality that all of us have, and so therefore it cannot be learned. It can only be revealed. I think that's what it's all about. Now, why is it so important? I think the reason why creativity has come up there in the list of their report, the Future of Jobs report, is because in a era of process-driven stuff and systems-driven work environment, everything is beginning to look very similar, right? So the supply chain of Amazon looks as similar to a supply chain of a Flipkart, or so on and so forth, and likewise in every industry that you guys are involved in. So differentiation comes at a premium, and I think differentiation can come only from originality, and I guess that's the reason why creativity is ranked right up there in the modern context. So how can you actually get creative, or how can you reveal your creative side? Now, there's a very detailed process, and it's a step-by-step process that you can follow, but I can only in a short video offer you some hints, right, that at least I have read of. Now you can do something at a work level, you can do something at a feeling level, you can do something at a body level, and you can even do something at a behavioral level. So I think at a work level, the best way to get creative is to cut off your entire resource pipeline. That's, I think, the best way to get creative, because many will tell you, especially entrepreneurs, that when there's no cash in the bank, you get maximum creative. So cut off your resource pipeline for any problems that you're looking at, and you'll get beautifully creative and come up with something original. At a feeling level, I think the extreme level of creativity, at least biologically, is amongst women, right? I mean, there's no better form of creativity, and they create a human out of themselves, right? So no better creativity than what a lady or a woman can show you. So from a feeling point of view, get a feminine side of yours which is hidden inside out, and that will make you very creative. Even get your child side out. So if you get your feminine and child side out in whatever you're doing, I think that's a great way to become creative. The third is at a body level. Now, we all know that thoughts go into action, and action also goes into thoughts. So the property of that subtle layer, of creative layer of your mind, is that it has to be very, very flexible. Now, to make that flexible, get your body flexible. You know, if you're slothful, and if you're not healthy, and if you're just sitting around doing nothing, then believe you me, you're not going to be that creative. So get your body active, agile, flexible, and you'll get over there. So that's what you can do at a body level. And at a complete behavioral level, there's a beautiful copybook philosophy how to change your behavior outside so that you get creative on the inside. So there are 4 concepts that the Indian philosophy talks about. The first is about Maitri, about friendship and liking everything and everybody and whatever everybody does around you, being very appreciative. So that is called Maitri. The second one is about Karuna, is about being compassionate about everything and everybody around you. That's called Karuna. Then there is something called as Mudita, a joy not just about what you are doing, a joy about what others are also achieving around you. Now that's called something called as Mudita. And finally, it's called another concept called Upeksha, which is equanimity, to be equanimous in whether things go right or wrong for you. Now, if these are the behavioral traits that you exhibit, then you can directly impact your creative self inside of you. So I hope at a work level, at a body level, at a feeling level, and at a behavioral level, you are able to do all these things and can take. But I hope this small video helps you get creative, be creative, and I wish you all the success in your business and in your profession. Take care. Bye for now. Cheers.